This is your first ever Genesis G80, all new for the 2021 model year. Lots to unpack as it's a brand new vehicle. So with quirks, perks, and irks, it's the grille. I like it. It's pronounced. It's very, very unmistakable. Now my small irk here, it's not with Genesis, it's with the Ontario government because this has manufacturer plates on it, which I'll show you in the rear. So there's no front plate, but when you buy this, there will be a front plate because there has to be one in Ontario, and it's gonna go right there, and it's just gonna take a clean and pronounced look and just muck it up, and I'm not really a big fan. I like the little design, how it dips down to the bottom. Genesis logo right there, and the wings just kind of spread out, and you can see that little scoop going, not a real scoop, but the indent going all the way up. Nice clean look there. I really like the new design language from Genesis with the two bars. So you got the turn signals there, and you got the turn signals on the side of the vehicle. You got your quad headlights as well, all LED, everything's LED in the vehicle. Front camera for the contribution towards the 360 cam, and your day runners are the strips here and here. Again, with the lights on, you see the quads there, but without the headlights on, just the day runners, you get the thin strips, and it looks really sharp. Air curtains right here, you can see all the way through, and there's some of that, so it helps with a little bit of efficiency. Radar is right there as well. As we go back to the front quarter, which is where we started, it's got a really nice shape to it. Nothing outlandish, not overly creased as far as the sheet metal goes, as some other manufacturers have. It's just a nice, clean, straight look. Love the rims, love the simplicity, love the 5-spoke. Yes, I know there's a secondary spoke there. It's thin and it holds your bolt pattern there. But from a distance, it pretty much looks like it's a 5-spoke rim. I like it, nice clean look. And again, just that whole front quarter right there just looks really sharp with the wraparound turn signals as well as the side turn signals there. Now, because there's turn signals there are no turn signals in the mirrors, and that gives it an even more streamlined look that looks really sharp. Not a big fan of the chrome at the bottom. It just kind of, I don't know, it just doesn't look great to me. I would have rather it just be the same color as the body all the way down throughout. Sure, it can look nice to some people, just not really appealing to me. Keyless entry all the way through. Push the button to unlock and lock as long as the key fob is in your hands. Gas door on the driver's side. And as we go around to the rear, you get the wraparound taillights and turn signals as well, which is really sharp. And I like it because usually with it on the mirror, sometimes people behind you can see it. But if you're, let's say that I'm driving and I'm right here, not only do I see the turn signals that wrap around, I also see the amber color right there as well. So it's really, to me, the more you can be seen for turn signals, the better it is. Stumbling 3 minutes in. Look at the rear, again with the two thin bars, looks really sharp, and you got the symmetrical exhaust. A bit of an irk for me is the reverse lights are right there. I think they should have been on the outside. I know it may get in the way of the housing and throw it off aesthetically, but to me, reverse lights should be on the outside to get the highest amount of visibility. The trunk release button is just at the base of the wiper stock. Quick push and up it goes. Just out of the car wash, so that's why it's dripping a little bit. Tons of space here, and the cool thing is they have power seats to go down, so we're gonna push that button, take a look, and we're gonna push that button. It's a bit of a hard fall. I can kind of see the seat bouncing a little bit, but lots and lots of space here, so it's function and fashion put together. Just gonna lift this carpet liner up and take a look there. So your privacy cover is stored here if you don't want to have it up, and that's one of the bays there, and that's there, and just put it in there, and that's how it gets locked up. Quick look in the rear seats. They are on rails and they are adjustable for the seat back. So the seat behind the passenger all the way forward and all the way vertical, and I've put this seat all the way back so you can see just how much of a difference there is for leg space, and just how much of a difference there is as far as it being able to recline. So regardless of what shape or size you are, you should be able to find a good comfortable seating position in the rear seat of the GV80. Now, this being the 2.5, it's not the 7-seater, it's the 5-seater. There is a 50-50 split for 2 seats behind this in the 3.5-liter version. Cup holders come out like that, and you can see it's on a pretty noticeable incline. That's because the seat's back and that's attached to that. However, I'm just gonna quickly use this lever here, and it straightens out the straighter that gets there. Closing this up nice and easy, and then you push up, and that's how you get rid of that, and that gives you space for your middle passenger. To collapse the seats, push that button, down it goes. Not quite a flat fold, but pretty close. You can still make it to IKEA to get your flat pack furniture. On all trims but the top trim 3.5, you have the manual sunshades, and on the top trim, it is a power sunshade. All right, jumping into the driver's seat, that's what you're seeing if you're just about to walk in. Let's start with the inside of the door panel. Nice 3 stitches there. I think it looks really sharp, the nice chrome line that flows down to the bottom. And just a nice combination of black and chrome. I think it's very tastefully done on this specific trim, the 2.5 Advanced. It's a little small, kind of just stands out. That's a little quirk on that. All right, talk about the seats. The side bolsters, full marks, A++++. Side bolsters, not really there, still comfortable. Some of these move on the top trim 3.5 Prestige, I believe it is. But the 2.5 Advanced, the seats are still very comfortable. I would have liked a little more the thigh support, and I would have liked the quilted seats. Now there's 4 levels of seats, interestingly enough. The base 2.5 gets artificial leather. This is real leather. There's a step up on the 3.5 Advanced, and the 3.5 Prestige has quilted Nappa leather, which is really, really soft and just absolutely wonderful. But these are 12-way seats, and the 16-way seats come on the very, very top trim 3.5. But they are still very comfortable, despite having, for me personally, a little lacking. They are a little lacking on the thigh support. All right, let's jump into the vehicle. Let's talk about the steering wheel. It's old school because it's 2-spoke or no spoke. I'll back up. That's what you're looking at with the steering wheel. Quick look at what you see when you start the vehicle up. Warning there, 14.5-inch screen, nice and big. We'll get that confirmed out of the way. So let's start with the dashboard. Top trim gets a 12.3-inch screen. All other trims get the analog on the left side for your speedometer and your gas needle, and the middle and right side are digital. I think Genesis missed the mark here. I wish it was all digital, and that's a bit of an irk for me. It's one of my most outstanding irks. I understand why they did it. You have to have an incentive and a reason for people to go top trim, but I know. I wish it was all digital. I think almost all the competitors have digital screens, but it still looks good. Still get all your information out of it very, very easily, and it's all easily controlled through that button, which gets you your different screens, and then you scroll through with that to get to what you need. Big perk for me is the continuum of design here. So you have this nice patterned scroll wheel here, and you have it here, and it's also on the edge of the gear selector, and it's also on the edge here for what controls your infotainment system, and it's on your volume controller as well as your tune. So it's a nice little bit of design on what it's also on your start-stop button. So to me, that makes up for it. I still wouldn't mind having a fully digital dash, but I digress from that. Heated steering wheel, the entire wheel heats up, standard fare, very nicely done. I like that all these buttons are in a nice aluminum finish, just has that high-class, upper-class look to it. Parking brake and your trunk release, nice double white stitching across the top. You get a heads-up display, and it is massive. Right now, it's only showing lane centering and the speed. I'm not going anywhere, so that's why it's at 0. But if you have your map and other things in there, it definitely shows very, very vibrantly. Okay, let's talk about this 14.5-inch infotainment system. There's a lot of screens. So basically, to get it from the rest screen, which is here, you're just going to dip down here and just basically you turn. You can go up, down, left, right, and push down in the middle. So there's a lot of screens. So it's at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17. There's 18 different screens, and it's a little too much. I think they could have consolidated them. I know the high def. Oops, let's go back. The high def radio data. I don't know if that's really needed there. Sirius XM. Which is your audio controls. And I think they could have consolidated a little bit to make it just easier to go through and get your information from. Sorry if this is making you dizzy. It's making me a little dizzy too. Okay, so the sounds of nature thing, which we've seen in the Hyundai Sonata, pretty cool. I still like it. You just get different sounds of nature there. It is also a touchscreen. It's a bit of a stretch to get there for the driver's side. So just kind of find your way around that and you will be totally good. And let's get back to the home screen. You can also do the scroll, but I'll get rid of that volume. Don't want the fireplace crackling. You got the passenger talk. So the front microphone will pick up the driver's voice and play through the rear speakers. It sounds a little echoey, and I think it would have been good in the 7-seater. I don't know if they need it in the 5-seater, but I guess it's all part of the same infotainment system, so that's why everybody gets it. I'm going to stop that. I'm not sure if you could hear that through the infotainment system, but it sounded, or through my microphone, but it sounded kind of funny. Let's take a quick skip off this for now and go here. There's no volume knob. There's just a volume scroll wheel, and these 3 buttons control the infotainment system. And if you don't want to put your eyes down here, you'll notice the home button has 3 buttons, or 3 little dots that are raised to help you kind of center yourself. So nicely done there. Again, this is the scroll wheel, controls your infotainment system. And let's go home, which gets us back to that screen. Okay, so gear shifter is here, and I don't mind it. A little peculiar at first for me, but I got used to it, and I understand why they did it. It's just to create a lot more space, and it's a nice, nearly flat surface here. Your wireless charging and a couple of power sources, so the phone goes down that way, less likely to be tempted to look at it. At least that's what my thought pattern is for that. You got a couple of cup holders here, and again, more of that design continuum. Just it looks really, really sharp. HVAC system, most of it's touch. You got hard touch. Most of it's hard touch buttons across the perimeter. So you want to bring your fan speed down, change the direction. It's a simple touch, and you get the beep confirmation. Heated seats, cooled seats, and a 2-stage heated steering wheel. Let me get that a little closer for you. There we go. Heats up real nice, and the heated seats and the cool seats activate very, very quickly. I like that there is a set of hard touch buttons here that are independent of the HVAC system. They're kind of like shortcut buttons. So whether you want your map or your navigation or your favorites, radio, media, or a setup, it saves you from kind of digging through here or going through the scroll wheel. The vents, it doesn't look like it looks like it's one piece. And unlike a few other competitors where you can tell that there's a line in here that separates the different pieces, but I'll just give you an angled look. It looks so good and so smooth, and it flows so nicely. You get 2 vents here, and you get one over there for your passenger. The sunroofs, I say roofs, let me open that up. I hope the thing doesn't open, I'll just stop it. There's that bar in the middle, so it's front shade, rear shade. They're not independent shades, they work in tandem, so you can't have this open and then have the back one closed. On the road with the 2021 GV80, I'm in the 2.5 trim, so that's the 2.5 liter turbo 4 engine, giving you 300 horsepower and 311 pound-feet of torque, all through an 8-speed automatic transmission, and this is the 5C model. If you want the 7-seat model, you got to bump up to the 3.5 liter trim, and that gets you the 3.5 liter V6 with 375 horsepower and 391 pound-feet of torque, all through an 8-speed automatic transmission as well. Driving dynamics for the 2.5, I think they are absolutely wonderful. If I was going to pick one, not even having driven the 3.5, there is so much power here, and the power delivery is smooth. And I have not once felt that this car is underpowered, not in the slightest, not in the least. Foot down, off you go, and it's quisk. That's my combination word for quick and brisk. You know, it's been a while since I made up a word for a review, and I think it's high time that I did so. It's got very quick and brisk acceleration. So I'm going to slow down a bit. You can see what's happening in my side window there. And I'll just put my foot down. And it goes. Like, that's very quick, very precise. Yeah, there's a little bit of turbo lag, but like every turbo engine has some kind of turbo lag. So if you're getting on a highway, no issues. If you need to avoid a collision situation, no issues at all. There is so much power here. Cornering, handling, turns, it's done with ease, especially for a mid-size crossover slash SUV. The GV80 is very well balanced, and the driving dynamics score full marks for me. And I've alluded to it a couple of times before, and I'm going to probably drop a couple more mentions now. Because Genesis waited 5 years to come out with their first SUV, they really had to fire on all cylinders because they're going up against BMW and Mercedes and Audi, and they're really trying to take the Germans down, or at the very least, you know, match them, and maybe to a secondary degree. You have, you know, the Lexus RX and the Acura MDX, but for what the GV80 is, how it's been built, engineered, and designed, from a driving standpoint, it is very well executed. Let's jump into fuel consumption here. With the 2.5 liter trim, it's an 80 liter fuel tank, and in liters per 100 kilometers, it's 11.3 on city streets, it's 9.5 on the highway, and your blended total comes out to 10.5. That's really not all that bad considering that it's mid-size crossover. I was expecting figures to be, you know, maybe 12s, 13s, but after nearly 600 kilometers of driving, what I've done, which is but a little heavily skewered towards the city driving out, I'd say 65-70% city, and the balance being highway and rural driving. My numbers are pretty much right in line with what Natural Resources Canada has. Jumping from that into safety, plenty of standard safety, and Genesis has done this right. There's a list on the screen. I'll rhyme off a couple of highlights here for you. The high beam assist, the blind spot monitoring, lane keep assist, lane departure warning, rear cross traffic alert, forward collision avoidance, and you know, Genesis has done such a good job of equipping these vehicles very, very well. Now, with the 2.5 advanced trim, which is, and what I'm going to mention is what you do not get with the 2.5 Select, you get the blind view monitor. So basically, I'll do a cutaway to it now, but you'll see that I put my right signal on, and you get a vision through the camera underneath the right mirror. I put my left signal on, and I get an image as to what's in my left side view mirror camera. Seats are very comfortable, and after being stuck in city traffic for a little bit, I didn't have any driver fatigue. There was no twisting and turning and kind of just readjusting myself like I'm doing now, just as an example. It's a very well put together seat, and over and above that, just the driving position. Yes, I know it's a luxury crossover, but you have a high enough seating position, but you don't feel like you're towering over everybody. The ingress egress is very easy. I didn't feel like I was, you know, falling out of the vehicle, or I didn't have to feel like I was lifting myself up to get in. Quick dip back into driving dynamics. This is all-wheel drive along with all of the GV80s. It definitely helps in Canadian winters. And it's got a rear-wheel drive bias, so you kind of have a bit of that sporty feel to it, but you still have the practicality of having something with all-wheel drive. And after having done nearly 600 kilometers in the GV80 over a week, it just got better and better every time I sat down and every time I went somewhere. And the power delivery is very smooth. Gear changes are done very crisply. There's no muddy gear, like usually between 3 and 4, 4 and 5, and sometimes 5 and 6. It can get a little vague, but the GV80 has done Genesis has done a great job with a GV80 as far as making the drive very enjoyable, very spirited, and as engaging as it can be for something with an automatic transmission. The infotainment system, you really have to get used to the dial that's here. The infotainment screen itself, the 14.5-inch one, it's just out of view of the camera. My hand is all the way out. I don't want to be leaning forward, but you can see that I'm hitting it there, and you can see the gap between my back and the back of the seat. So that's my normal seating position. Again, hand out, you can see it's not touching anything. I have to lean forward a couple of inches to get to it. Before we wrap up, I want to touch on the 360 cam. Resolution is very, very high. And if you're in a really tight spot, whether it's an underground spot or in a parking lot where the only spot around is two people who park terribly and you've got to somehow maneuver in between that, the 360 cam definitely does help. And again, the high res really makes it stand out and get the parking lines that move along with your wheels. So well done, Genesis, on that. That's going to wrap it up for the 2021 GV80. If you've got any questions on the vehicle, let me know in the comments, and I'll do my best to get you answers as soon as possible. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate the support. Feel free to subscribe if you haven't already, and feel free to recommend the channel to somebody who you may think may be interested in what I do. Be well, be healthy, be safe, and I'll see you with the next review.